Hello, designers.
Hey, babe.
Hi,
How are
guys. Hi, ladies.
you? So welcome to my fashion conversation for February, which is Black Designer
Black History
in
Month.
and Black History Month. Yay! So I am happy to have two of my favorite fashion designers here in Chicago that some of you may not know about, but I've known for a really long time. And I can talk to both of you when I think I first met you. You probably don't even remember because it's been so long with my fashion days. But what we're going to talk about is fashion and what we're going to do for Black History Month here in Chicago as a Black fashion designer. So I am going to have Borris Powell and Jermikko introduce themselves and their businesses and what they may have planned for the month of February and beyond. And it's just going to be a fun conversation that I hope all of you enjoy. So, Boris, do you want to start first?
Oh, well, I'm going to let my girl Jermikko go
Oh,
first. How
Jermikko, you
about
go
that?
first.
Chivalry still
It's it,
exists.
That's right. That's right. Ladies first.
it's beauty before age.
Excuse me. That's right. So go ahead, Jermikko. Tell us what's going on.
Well, you said I think you said that we were going to be introduced because people may not know us. And the minute you said that, I thought after 46 years, if they don't know me, they've been dead.
That hasn't been that long.
It's been that long, 46 years.
Well,
Wow.
Been doing this.
congratulations on that.
Yeah,
Wow.
46 years. When I started 46 years ago designing and manufacturing, and the reason I started the manufacturing is because 46 years ago, in the 70, in the late 60s, early 70s, it was not kosher to be an African American. I think what we call it then, I can't remember. We've
Mhm.
been through a lot of stuff there, but anyway, it wasn't kosher and or acceptable to the places you needed to be an African American, telling those people how to dress.
Mhm.
And right out of college, I had a job in Evanston as I started with leathers and suedes, designing for a company in Evanston and called the Leatherhead. And right after that, I've always wanted to have my own. And so one day I got that opportunity to have my own. And I did my apprenticeship with Stanley Korshak, which was the creme de la creme of stores on Michigan Avenue. They were located at 900 North Michigan Avenue.
Yeah.
And it was one of those type of stores that only sold the wealthy. And people like Mr. Ray Kroc, I would meet and talk to, and Diane Carroll, all the entertainers. If they were of any notoriety, they came to Korshak. And Korshak did not display clothes. They simply would have a few mannequins around, and each one of the wealthy ladies had their own sales rep.
Wow.
So of course, working there, I thought, oh, I never really thought about the color thing. Nobody ever. I was so far down in the basement, most people didn't see me until one day, Mrs. McCormick, the McCormick place, McCormick, um, she had ordered a dress from Norman Norell, and the suit, I'm sorry, a suit, and the suit came in too small. And it was at that time that I learned when wealthy ladies want their clothes for a certain occasion, they want their clothes for a certain occasion. And they don't care who you are, they want their clothes. So one of the sales reps there, Mrs. Angela, I'd gotten very close to her. And the day before, she had a little nip. And so when Mrs. McCormick came for her fitting, the dress didn't fit, the suit didn't fit. And it was like, oh no, Mrs. Andrea was her name. Oh no, she's gonna get fired. So I passed by, and my job there was to learn everything I could and keep my mouth shut. But when I passed by the dressing room and I saw Mrs. Andrea in tears, and Mr. Korshak didn't know what to do, and Mrs. McCormick was irate, and I found that it was a suit that didn't fit, and she was upset. I thought, well, I know how to. We got two of those suits because I was the one who unpacked the stuff in the third level basement. So I
Uh-huh.
thought, we got two suits. So I said, Mr. Korshak, can I say something? And he looked at me with daggers in his eyes because my job was not to say anything. And he got ready to say no, but Mrs. McCormick said, let her talk. And so I said, we have two of those Norman Norell suits, and I know how to take the both of them. If she want to pay for both of them, I put that in, and I could help make one suit. And it could be ready tomorrow if the lady downstairs will stay with me and help me tonight. And he got ready to say something else. And she said, you know how to do that, young lady? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, well, do it. So when she left, Mr. Korshak called me to his office and he said, this is your last day if that don't come out right.
Ooh.
But the suit came out beautifully, and that got me out of the basement, up on the main floor,
Oh
and
my
I the
God.
run of Stanley
That
Korshak
is,
at that time, right?
that's a
So
great story.
working at Korshak, when the wealthy would come in, there was never a color problem. This was the kid that had the apprenticeship from the Art Institute. And sometimes they would bring me stuff because Mr. Korshak would tell them that in addition to working there, I had 3 other jobs putting myself through college. So the race thing didn't bother me. So I thought.
Yeah.
So one day I got a call from Nan Mason, who sings now at the Pump Room. She sang then at the Pump Room. And she wanted me to design a gown for one of her friends. And it turned out to be Terry Murphy, who was on Channel 7 at the time. And we got to be good friends. So I designed this gown. Well, before I designed the gown, she invited me to the private club that used to be here called Faces. Do you remember Faces?
No.
On Rush Street. Anyway, I needed something spectacular to wear. And I had 3 yards of gold lame at home, and I was living at the right address. I was smart enough to know that you can't dress women if you don't know the women. So I was living in the Gold Coast, so I knew the women. All right, so I went home and I made myself these gold lame jeans, and I needed a blouse. So I went up to a store called Bottega Glacé. Barbara Glass.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And at that time, I guess we didn't really shop up on Oak Street. So when I went in the dressing room to try on this blouse, the sales lady opened the curtain without my permission and said, oh, those are beautiful. Where'd you get them? And I said, I made them. So she came back with 2 other ladies who wanted to know where I got them. And I said, I told her I made them. I'm not stealing them. So Barbara Glass said to me, well, can you make some for the store? Now, it was always my dream to have my own business.
Yes.
But it was the what am I gonna? I'm a single person living on my own. I can't afford to quit these jobs and start a business. I have no money to start a business. It was all the but. All the but. So I said, yeah. So she says, okay, I'll order 5 pair. How much? Well, the cheapest blouse they had was $135, which I only had $50 to my name. So I wasn't buying no blouse. And I thought, well, $65 sounds good. So I told her 65 and she didn't give me no argument. That told me they were too cheap.
Yeah. And you could charge more.
So anyway, I went home and I told Terry that I couldn't go out with her because I had started this business. And the next day I thought, well, wait a minute, I can't start a business on just one store. So next door to Bottega Glacé was my sister Circus, Sue Gans. So anyway, I called Sue and I told her, I asked her if I could get an appointment. She said, yeah, come on up. So I go up and they want to know if somebody can help me, if I need somebody to help me with my collection. I had one of those bags that men buy their suits, as far as when you buy a suit, put it in that bag. And I held up the bag and said, here's my collection. She said, ooh, that's the smallest collection I ever saw. She said to me, well, I love the jeans, but I need a blouse. And I'm thinking, I don't have no damn blouse. I said, well, do you have a sheet of paper? She said, yeah. So she gave me a sheet of paper and I designed a blouse right there in front of her and I made her a deal. Okay, here's the deal. You buying the pants. If you buy the blouse today from this sketch and it gets here and it's not the quality of that you normally buy, I'll take everything back. So she says, okay, deal. So she bought 5 pair of pants and 5 jeans. Okay, blouses. So now I'm thinking there's always been a store anywhere that if you don't sell that store, you're not in the know. And the store at that time was Angie's, which is around the corner across the street from Corsac. So anyway, I go over to Angie's and I show her my little jeans. And she says, but I need a skirt. I'm thinking, I don't have no skirt. So I took the same piece of paper and designed a skirt on the back of it and charged her $110. She gave me an argument. I knew that was right. So that's kind of how I got started in my own business.
Wow. You mentioned some names that I'm familiar with. Barbara Glass, I remember her from my AICI image consultant days and
Right.
Street. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm in business. I got my own business. I go home and I'm living at 1 East Scott in a studio apartment. It was so small, if you sneeze, you blow the walls out. But I got my sewing machine. I brought me a sewing machine, a home sewing machine. Got my metal card playing table, my little doggy. And so I tell everybody, I started the business with $50, 2 tree trunks, a home sewing machine, metal card playing table, 3 yards of fabric, and a 6-pound dog.
Oh.
And back in those days, we were so powerful here in Chicago that the sales reps in New York and LA would come here to show us, because all over on Jackson, West Jackson, and Van Buren and Adams and Canal, all over there was nothing but manufacturing. We were powerful.
So we did have manufacturing here?
Oh, heck yeah.
I always thought that was one of the reasons that Chicago never made it to like the
We had everything here. If you wanted hats, shoes, bags made, you simply went up on Lake Street. Lake Street had all that. If you wanted to buy leathers, we had tanneries here. We had all of that. If you wanted to see fabrics, then over on Jackson and Wacker and Van Buren, you go there, and all those buildings had nothing but sales reps. Fabrics. I dated one of them, I know. Fabric sales reps, all up in there. The credit bureau was all over there. Everything, manufacturing, over I think it's 210 displays. They had, and I still got the old agent book that listed everybody. Wow. So if you wanted to get notions or anything like that, then you went over there. Sewing machine exchange was down here on South Michigan Avenue.
Right.
Which is where I got most of my machines. So we were a power. We were a power. So anyway, I'm getting a little credit here and there and ordering my fabrics, and now it's time to go to New York because I got a business. So I had a business card that had every title in the world on it. Designer, CEO, president, you name it was there. I was proud. So I go to New York to Botanical Mills. I will never forget this. And I'm sitting there, and the guy is asking me about my education. I told him, I said, well, I went to the Art Institute and the University of Chicago concurrently. So I have a degree in art, but I also have a degree in psychology. So if art didn't work, I'd just be a psychologist. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, that's really good. And he keeps talking, and I'm ordering my little sample yards at the end. Now, I have taught Deloitte Haskins and Sells, which was one of the big 8 accounting firms, right, into helping me with my little company, starting a division where the big guy helped the little guy to grow, and they actually went for it. So I had a powerful accounting company. Anyway, they told me when I go to take my profit and loss statements with me, because they would want to know that, and my balance sheet. I said, okay. So at the end, the guy said, well, your order's about $1,800. Who do we, how do you put it? Who do we call for credit? Oh, honey, I was good. I pulled out my little card and I said, here's my information and here's my business card. He looked at the business card and he saw he was no longer talking to just somebody who worked for the company. He was actually talking to who owned the company.
Yeah. That
man said to me, well, I think we're going to probably have to ship you COD. I said, why would you do that? You've been shipping me. Well, you just starting out. Oh, he gave me all kind of excuses. I went back to my hotel in tears. And I decided at that time, no one in this business would ever deny me anything. And what did I need to do? I had no idea. But I called the guy who had made my 5,000 cards for me, and I asked him to make me another card because it occurred to me in his conversation, it was all about, well, can I cook? Am I married? What am I going to, that sort of thing. And what hit me really was when he said to me that he had wanted to have his own business, but he had to get married and take care of kids. And I started thinking, wait a minute, what he was basically saying is, how dare you own something when I don't? How could you do this? Okay, so I called the guy who made my cards. And I told him I wanted him to make me 5,000 more. He said, Jermikko, we just made you. I said, I know. I just want this card to be hot pink. And I wanted to say designer. That's it. He said, okay. So I went back to New York about 2 weeks later. I'm working with the same man. And as you know, as a Black woman, we change our hair, we change.
Recognize you. Yeah.
There you go. So the man's sitting there talking to me about me. And he's asking me about other designers here. And the other thing I know, and learn this, Borris, never say, yeah, I know them. Because if the person who's selling you something is mad at them, he gonna take it out on you. So I simply said, well, you know, Chicago is a major place right now. And I'm sure we probably run across each other. So make a long story short, I ordered 2 times more than I had before. So when he said to me, who do we call for credit? I gave him my business card and I said, call Ashley. He said, okay. He says, well, you know, I think it's probably going to be okay. I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure it will. I came back. Sure enough, 2 days later, the phone rang and he asked for Ashley. And Ashley got on and read everything he wanted to know under statement. And he says, oh, I think everything will be in order. So I'll call you back later and let you know. I said, okay. So he called back later that day and he says, well, everything checks out. So you're good to be leaving. Now, the question you want to ask me is, who was Ashley?
I already know.
My cat was Lady Ashley Murray. My hamster who took care of production was Murray and Freddie. I had a whole list of people, and I had, because I knew that nobody wants to work with a one-person company.
Wow.
So from there, I decided, you know, I'm going to run into this problem probably again. So how do you handle this? Well, it's called sitting on your ego. Put your ego aside. It wasn't necessary that people knew who was doing the designing. It was necessary in those days that it was well designed and they bought it.
Right.
So the only person in this industry back then who knew who I was and the color of my skin was Dorothy Fuller.
Oh, yeah.
Dorothy Fuller had met me at the Art Institute, and that's how she knew, and in the industry. So one day, I got a sales rep over at the Apparel Mart, and her name was Cookie Robinson. And I told Cookie, you can't tell people the color of my skin or you're going to lose your orders. Well, Cookie didn't believe that. So a store came in from somewhere in Indianapolis or somewhere and bought about $5,000. Oh, they love this stuff. And I walked through the door and Cookie said, oh, and I'd like for you to meet the designer. I knew right then, you just lost your order. So sure enough, the store got back and called her and told her they overbought. So
no.
She learned her lesson, right? Cookie learned her lesson. So I just decided that my grandmother used to say, you got to feed a hungry man before you can talk to him. For me, that meant I had to keep me out of the public and get my clothes in your store, because once green was selling, Black didn't matter. You may not want to invite me out to dinner. You may not want to invite me out to what was very popular then, a trunk show, but you're going to buy the clothes and you're going to hope nobody knows that the color of my skin. I think to this day, the Ku Klux Klan probably owns some of my clothes and don't know it. So I met a woman. During this time, I met a woman named Lynn Goldblatt DeRocha. Lynn was married to Goldblatt. Remember Goldblatt?
Oh, yeah.
Lynn was married to him, and then she divorced him and married Leo DeRocha, the baseball player. And so Lynn used to be my muse. Lynn would go out and sell, and I just stand in the background, just stand there. So one day, Dorothy Fuller got a call from Dottie Kagi Dottie Kagi was the fashion editor for Women's Wear Daily.
Mhm.
Women's Wear Daily had decided that what they were going to do was recognize designers in Chicago, because until then, they would just come in and talk about all the New York people. So Dorothy called me and said, Jermikko, Dottie Kagi's coming in and she's going to be talking to Chicago designers. And I have recommended you. And it got real quiet. She says, are you there? I said, Dorothy, you know that this will kill my business if I go and let them know what my color is. Now, we've had this discussion. She says, well, we also had the discussion where you said to me that God would let you know when it was time for people to know.
And now it's God's time.
I said, oh, okay, can I think about it? She said, go ahead, think about it. I said, okay. So I met with Miss Kagi and I told her the same thing. And she looked at me and said, well, perhaps God is talking to you because I won't do the story if you won't be a part of it. And I thought, well, that's not going to be fair to other designers. So I went ahead and did it. So I was the first African-American designer here in Chicago to have my work on the cover of Women's Wear Daily magazine. And that's when they found out.
Wow.
Fabulous.
Yes. So Lynn got backlash
today. What's the difference now today? This is Black History Month and you mentioned all of that now.
Right. Well, I mentioned all that because today, every major designer in New York has an assistant designer who's African American. Every last one of them, just about, there's an African American back there. But because of the way it was, we were just kept in the background. And I have fought all of my 46 years for the talent that we as people have. Mm-hmm. And when Obama was in the office and Mrs. Obama started out and said who her favorite designers were and all of that, I thought, certainly, and she brought my coats back then, by the way. Mm-hmm. I thought, certainly this is going to be an opportunity to propel African Americans. We just put a Black president in office. He's got a Black wife. They got 2 Black kids. Certainly this is going to be the moment, but it wasn't at that time. It wasn't. Mm-hmm. So I thought, okay, well, then I guess we just going to keep on keeping on. Because one day, we're going to be there. One day. And and I kind of looked at it like a bamboo plant. If you plant a bamboo seed, you're watering that sucker for 5 years. And people look at you and think you're stupid. Why do you keep watering that hole? Mm-hmm. But one day that bamboo plant is going to come up. And I think today is our day. And I like to say, somebody else said one day that I planted a lot of sidewalk, concrete. And I hope the concrete that I planted over the years that other Black designers can just walk over. Because, this year I'll be 75. I'm tired. I'm tired. But I see young people today, and I'm proud to see that they're still out there and that they're working towards their goal. And I hope that they can remember that some of us went through hell so that they could go through heaven.
That's such a great story, Jermikko. Boy, I didn't realize all of that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there's more.
Sure.
But
thanks so much.
Yeah, you just have to keep your eye on the goal and be resilient.
Right.
In that you can't just stick to one thing. I remember this year when the pandemic came, and I had decided to close my factory because I was going to be moving to a new location. Mm-hmm. I was tired of freezing my ass off over there in that place. And I really couldn't hire anybody because one day, if it was cold outside, they'd be sitting at the service street with gloves on. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
So I thought, I've been here for almost 10 years and struggling through this. And they keep saying they're going to fix it, never do. And I haven't had a vacation in 20 years. So I'm going to just close for 2 months. And then I'm going to go work with young designers who are always calling me up, asking me this, that, or the other. And I'm just going to do it for free. and teach them, because a lot of them have very good ideas, but the construction ain't good. And it has to be pristine. And I think, if God's given me this talent and I know, let me go help him. Because I don't believe in competition. Let me go help him. I got this far, so I can get further. So anyway, that was in November. I was going to take November and December, and in January, go open up a new space. And in January, the pandemic hit.
Right. Right.
So it's like, oh no, I guess I won't be doing that. But then I looked at it and I got a call from a couple of companies that I had worked with in China, and they wanted me to help represent their product here in America for masks. And I thought, well, okay. But then they told me they only wanted to sell big companies. And I thought, nah. I said, you know what? I will help you if I can sell small companies and individuals. Because if you're only selling big companies, they're not going to share with small companies. So they just told me, go ahead and do what I want to do. So I did that.
Excellent.
So one day I heard the governor say, well, years before that, I did a lot of work for the military, but I'm certified with the military. And one of the things I had to do for them was masks back in the day. So I knew a lot about math. So one day I'm sitting here and I hear the governor say how we got to wear masks for the rest of our life, just about. So I invented this mask. And it went really well. And I thought, you know what? I love inventing more than I love fashion.
You started creating.
Yeah, right. But I still love my coats. I still love my fashion.
Yeah, that's what you're known for, those coats.
I'm known for coats. I could do a coat in my sleep.
And then you did the zipper mask too, didn't you?
The zipper mask is what I invented. I invented that because I wanted people to be comfortable. I wanted them to be able to eat and not run the risk of virus and all of that stuff. And when the idea first hit me, I'm like, God, I don't want to do that. I want to do my coats. And he just kept poking me, this is what I want you to do right now. And it went really well. So, and then the city stepped in and awarded me that $1 million contract.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I don't want to do that. Okay, I'll do that. So I guess what I'm saying is you got to be residual. You got to be flexible.
Right.
Always go back to doing what it is you love doing. But right now, this is what God wants me to do. So I'm comfortable doing it. Well, and it's actually been very profitable. So when people say that they wanted 2020 to hurry up and leave, well, I wanted to hurry up and leave too, because I got tired of seeing people die. But you have to be able to find the good in the bad sometimes. And what 2020 did for especially African Americans, if we can open our eyes and step outside the box and see this, is they put everything on a level playing ground. Everybody was at the same level. Mm-hmm. Everything. Right. So now everybody's at the same level. Now you all can take off running.
Yeah, that's right. The virus doesn't know what skin color it's attacking. And
that's right. It doesn't. It doesn't. But it also opened doors for new thoughts.
Right. Right.
New careers. Those people who go to work and say, "Well, I wish I could." Now you can.
Now you can.
You got no job.
That's a tie. Yeah. Mm-hmm. How about you, Borris? How's your business going now? Thank you, Jermikko. Now
I will borrow some money from him.
Oh, I know, Mr. Borris.
Well, I don't have the $1 million contract like you, Jermikko, so I think I'll be borrowing money from you, darling. Well, I want to state some obvious things before I forget them, before I go into what's going on with me and what my life is. But look across the board, all three of us have glasses on.
I know, my computer glasses.
Our beautiful chocolate skin, and we've got our glasses on. I was like, look at us go. And Jermikko, I just wanted to say, you know what, you made a comment about, you've been in business for 46 years and you hope that other designers, whether they're, in my opinion, whether they're black, blue, brown, white, ladies, men's, or both, it doesn't matter. But I think I can speak for a lot of different people, and I've had the pleasure of speaking to you for many of years, and I understand what you have done for this not only the industry, but the industry in Chicago,
That's right.
but the industry as a whole. So I want you to know from someone like myself that's still, chugging along, trying to make this happen, that we see what you have done, and you are a real life hero to our industry here in Chicago and other places as well. So good for you, baby girl.
Yeah,
And
good for you. Thank
yeah,
you.
good for you. And I love that you keep trekking, you keep trucking, you keep
Right.
moving on, you keep inventing, and you keep going. And that's the spirit of an artist, and that's the spirit of a real artist. So good for you. And hands off to you, baby
Thank
girl.
you. Let me just say this. I want to put this out here. So in 1997, after all the years when I won Designer of the Year,
Yeah.
they had it at this huge place. They had like 1,000 people there. And at my table, during my schooling days, my attorney would sometimes have to buy me food and help me pay rent because I had to buy books. So anyway, he and his whole family came. We're sitting at the table, and there are two African Americans there, myself and Nick Cave. So we're sitting at the table, and they are announcing among the group who the Designer of the Year would be. So the Japanese lady or Chinese lady sitting at my table, when they announced Jermikko, she says, "Oh, one of my people won." And my attorney looks at me and goes, "I think she's gonna be surprised."
Oh, because of your name, she thought, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
So the audience was clapping aloud, and I got up and I started walking towards the stage, and I'm praying, "Oh God, please put the right words in my mouth." So when I hit the bottom step, the audience clap went from to, it was like, really? I can't believe it. So there's a picture of me standing at the podium looking out to the audience, and what God put in my mouth was, "Yep, I'm Black."
Oh, wow.
Okay, tell me your story, boss. And
Well,
thank you for that compliment.
you're welcome, my love. Well deserved. I know
One of my favorites.
Oh, thank you, darling. I know you two ladies know me, but for everyone that might be looking at the recording later, thank you for joining us. Happy Black History Month. And I am Borris Powell. I am a local fashion designer here in Chicago. I started my business while I was working full-time in retail, maybe about 14, 15 years ago. And now this past December, I am celebrating being a full-time designer of 10 years now. I have a long ways to go to get to our queen, Miss Jermikko, but I'm hoping that I will channel a lot of her inner spirit to get me there as well. I started out just doing women's wear, more social garments, evening dresses and things like this. And at that point, I didn't even want to be labeled as a designer. I only wanted to make dresses, and I wanted people to refer to me as a dressmaker. And that was that's how I thought about myself, and how I want everyone else to think about me, just making dresses. And then, you get into this industry after a few years, and you realize what you can and cannot do. And sometimes what you want to do in your mind is definitely the things you cannot do for a number of different reasons. So I eventually started making coats from there. And at that point, I wouldn't put any pockets in my coats because the silhouettes were very form-fitting. And I was like, well, my lady that's wearing this style of a coat, she'll have a purse, so she won't need pockets and anything like this. Well, I did that for a couple of years. And then the next few years, I figured out that ladies weren't going to buy them unless they had pockets in them. So I started with the pockets. And then basically what happens through the course of the next few years, I just started to bend and mold to whatever I had to do to make the money. And then here we are now. I do menswear, I do women's wear, I do handbags, pretty much anything that I need to stay afloat and to get my creative juices out there. Let's see, now through this last year of the pandemic, like all of us, we had to find a way to sustain and survive. And I, like every other designer, whether you're up and coming, still in school, you're a major house, independent for 46 years, independent for 10 years, where it doesn't matter, started making masks. It seems like that was the only thing that we could do. And that's what we would do as artists, is pivot and survive. Did that. And basically none of us were going to be, becoming filthy rich off of these masks for the majority of people. But in a way, for at least me and probably so many others, it was just a way that we can sustain our name, get a little bit of food here and there, but more importantly to me, I was able to keep my my team, like my seamstresses, in place so that they wouldn't go elsewhere looking for jobs, and then I would have my seamstresses basically when this pandemic left us. So, and then through the course of that, a silver lining, it has been a rough year for a lot of people, but if you sit back and I think if you sit back and look at what you're still able to do, if you're still breathing, which is a fortunate thing in itself, is that, you find the silver linings, and you don't sit and play a victim, and you figure out ways to keep going. One of my major, the first silver lining I saw through this pandemic, honestly, was it forced me to go online, have a website and have an online presence, which I always had a website, but it was just like for viewing galleries and making an appointment, but you couldn't shop off of it. And a lot of people told me that that was a miss years ago, but where I was in my business, I was super busy with just custom, and it was affording me to build a brand organically, and it was affording me to travel for the brand for several different reasons. So I was like, I don't need to, and at that point, I wasn't looking to manufacture offshore. I really wanted to keep everything local. And I would do some research and thought about like wholesaling and the internet stuff, but I couldn't get those price points that people wanted at that particular time to go wholesaling or go, just put things online. So I really didn't have any urgency at all. But then the pandemic came, and because of the mask, everyone like in all over the US and even parts of Europe wanted to order masks for me. So it forced me to go online, and it literally has been an amazing thing for me. I got the website, and at some point selling the mask and now even other things, other product, I kind of snicker and I will laugh to myself when I get an order of someone that I do know, because it got to the point where all these orders were coming in and I had no idea who these people were, which was completely different from going from a designer that was doing everything custom and knowing everyone and spending weeks with women and men for different fittings and things like this. So I thought it was very interesting. That was one of the major turning points of 2021 for the better for me and my future of the future of my brand. And then it gave me, like Jermikko was saying, you start to, or maybe it was you, Nancy, or both of you probably, you start to think in a different way about your current status in your future status, because it's what we do when we're in survival mode, and when things change beyond our control, you start to figure out how to make it work. And I was like, you know what? I don't know where this fashion industry is going to land. None of us do after this pandemic. We don't know where anything is going to land after this pandemic. But what we do know, or what we should know, is that we have to be ready for anything and everything. And that this is a moment to recreate anything and everything. If you look at the history of pandemics, financial crisis, or anything like that, when we come out of that is a moment where the world is embracing newness. It's the moment where the world is ready for something different. And this is the craziest time of all of our lives, where we have literally been locked up and cooped up forever. And we're not talking about 2 months. We're talking about going on 11 months. So everyone is tired. Everyone is exhausted, tired, same thing. Everyone wants something, and they want to be entertained, and they want to get dressed up. So we do know that when things open up, people are going to be ready for something. What is that? We don't know. So what we have to do as artists is create something that is unbelievably entertaining, unbelievably engaging, and unbelievably wanted and desired. And what is that going to be? Well, we're going to figure that all out. I have my ideas of what I want to do, and I'm still trying to hone in on that. But this is going to be the time, and we can't wait until the doors open up for events. We have to have our ideas set in place, and we have to kind of like test it even before then, which might be hard to do when you don't have doors open, but test on in your own four walls. But we have to be ready, and the time is now, and it's the most important time for us as Black artists, Black human beings, because this is our time. We have been, like you said, Jermikko, I think it was you, Jermikko, where everything is flattened now. Everyone is on the same level. Was that you that said that, Jermikko, or was that Miss?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone is on the same level. And we already know, if we're being honest, we're faster. It is what it is.
More rhythm.
We have more rhythm. We're faster.
Yes.
We are a strong
Sense of urgency. Yeah.
We are a strong culture. We come out fighting because we've had to for so many years. And I do believe that this is why we have been held down for so many years, because they had to get into our minds, because everyone that was smart then knew that this is a race that is the strongest race out there in so many different ways. Athleticism, mentally, and like how strong you are. There's nothing stronger than a Black woman. Nothing. So people knew that. So they had to get into our minds to keep us down. Now, like you said, Jermikko, the playing field is even, and it's actually tipped toward us right now.
There you go.
And a lot of things have to happen in order for movements to happen. That time where you got that award in 75, Jermikko, the world wasn't ready for the movement that it has, that it's ready for now. Things have to lead up to different movements, and a lot of different things have to be in place, and they're all falling in place right now.
Yes, it is.
While it's a trend or whatever it might be, to be successful as a Black person, artist, financial, whatever it might be, we have to take advantage of that right now.
Right now,
and use no excuses, and don't fall behind the typical Black mindset of we need to stand back and let things just happen. We need to take things now because everyone else took them before, and this is how they're successful now, because they took. So we need to play the game, and it's not easy for us because we've never been taught that it's accepted to play the game and do these things. So we have to change our mindset to think like the other ones that came before us that are now successful and pretty much kind of like telling us what to do and puppet stringing us and telling us what to do. So it's our time, and this is what I am doing now. I'm embracing a lot of different things that I was afraid to embrace before, because I wasn't taught to do that, or I could do that as a young Black male. So now I have my website, which is great. People all over are reaching out to me and keeping me in the survival mode, which is phenomenal. I will play the game, and I will be the Black face now where I didn't want to be the Black face before, just like Jermikko was saying earlier. Like, you have to keep you removed from it. And that happened back in the 60s and 70s, but it still happens today. I travel around doing a lot of trunk shows, traveling trunk shows, and I can look from a distance. If I'm in a boutique, like in Chattanooga, I can look from a distance and see a new customer looking at my pieces and going crazy over the pieces. And then the store owner or one of the associates will introduce us, and then you can just tell their eyes, like super surprised. Super surprised that it's a Black person first. And some people will say, oh, you're just feeling that, you're just seeing that. No, you know these things because you're conditioned to these things for 40 something, 50 something, 70 something years. You see these things in a different way. And you can't explain it to someone unless they are living within a Black skin. That's the truth. Now, I have a different entity to me that I learned how to use toward my advantage years ago. And that's being a Black gay male. So when they can't get past, or they're stumped by my Black skin,
Mhm.
I can go into the mode of turning up my gayness and being super, super, super gay, using my fingers and doing this and talking with the list, blah, blah, blah. It will immediately make the woman, if it's a woman, feel so
Right.
much more comfortable, especially
Yes.
a white lady, especially a white lady.
Is this,
Yeah.
yeah, that's.
Immediately,
You guys have always had it easier.
Mhm.
always. And so I have that as an arsenal.
I'm
And
gonna
I
come
learned
back
how,
as a gay man.
as a gay male, and I learned how to use that early on. Before I was comfortable with using my Blackness, but now I'm using both of them.
Yeah.
And I don't feel bad about it at all.
No.
Because we've spent so many years doing other things that has suppressed us and not using our talents or our God-given whatever to our advantage.
Mhm.
Everyone else has, why can't we?
Right.
So this is where I am now. And I had, before the pandemic, I opened up a beautiful store downtown by Union Station. And we all know that as a designer, in the history, in the past, going up to like probably 3 years ago, all we thought in our head was, instilled in our head was, you know what, for the industry, you bust your butt and the goal is to get as many brick and mortars as you possibly can
Yeah.
in major cities. That was the formula for fashion, and that's how you gained your success, or you knew you were successful by the number of stores that you could open up and the number of boutiques that you can get in and the number of department stores that you can get in. All that has completely changed. It has been changing leading up till last year, but last year everything has completely changed. Where's it going to end after this? No one knows. My own personal feeling is that nope, the department stores are not going to be around much longer. Even this concept of just busting your butt to have all these brick and mortars is not going to be the concept going forward, in my opinion. And even what still might be around for a while, or will be around for a while, is boutique shopping, but we don't know what kind of level that's going to be at.
Right.
If you look at how things changed after 9/11, which is what 20 years ago,
Right.
that's when fast fashion came in. After something like a huge global, basically, even though it happened on the US soil, but it was a global sort of a thing and it changed everything. We went to war because of it. And then so people stopped spending money. And
Right.
that's when the hurt started to set in on couture fashion because of that movement and that moment. So fast fashion came and we have brainwashed and instilled this sort of a mentality for the last 20 years now. It started to change about 4 to 5 years ago, where people are starting to understand and love the custom again and wanting something different. They got tired of having everything like everyone else. So they wanted something different. And then we got into 2019, where it was going in the direction to really favor us unique and individual designers again. And then 2020 happened. So the mindset was getting ready to endure or appreciate custom again, but where is it going to land after this? No idea. When it comes to the fashion component, no idea. But I'm going to try and be ready on any sort of a level that I can come out the gates running when the world opens up again. And what I'm working on is trying to have so many different entities that will accommodate anyone and everyone, no matter your skin tone, your bank account, or your sex. Whether you're fluid, you're not fluid, whatever it might be. I want to be one of, and I'm going to call myself an artist now. I want to be one of the artists that comes out of this where I'm still standing, and people are looking at me now in a different way, and not just the guy that made, cool, fun, simple, passionate, classic clothing. I need to be the artist that can make them a lot of different things. Again, it doesn't matter about your bank account, or if you need a blouse, or if you need a glove, or whatever it might be, or you need a consultation, or you need a friend, or whatever it might be. That's what my brand is going to be about. Giving you a lot more than just a couture dress, made to order coat, or off the rack leggings. I'm building an experience because that's all I know. That's what I've always built my brand on, is the experience. And I think as a not so much longer youthful guy, but I still am about that experience, and that's not going to leave. And I believe that that's going to come back, especially after being cooped up for about a year. When this is all over and people are going to go out, they're going to want an experience, because we haven't had an experience for almost a whole entire year. So this is that's the only thing that I think about right now, is how to create the ultimate experience for people of all levels.
I think you hit the nail on the head. That is so true, because even as a stylist myself, that's what people want. They want the experience. They want the excitement. They love clothes. They want it, whether it's upcycled clothing too, just whatever it is. Now, you mentioned your website. Is that your only means of communicating? Do you use any other social media platforms for selling?
I do. Not for selling. For marketing, I'll use Facebook and Instagram, and sometimes I'll tweet. But I have a love-hate relationship with social media. It's mostly a hate relationship, if I'm being honest, which is funny because, you know, I have such a big personality, people say, and it can be, you know, it can be a good thing to take that personality on social media. But I have found through my years of really paying attention to social media is that I have a lot of cheerleaders on social media, but that's not where I am making my money. I will boost promotions on Facebook. I'll buy ads and I'll do this. And out of all of that, no one ever comes in to my location to buy a thing. Even if I put it on sale for $25 on social media, they're not coming in to buy that. And I don't know what that is, but what it has done, what I do know, it has frustrated me, and it has shown me that that's not the route where I'm needed to put my money and my focus in, because for 5 years trying to like really have that presence and build that, it has not favored me. What has favored me is really those experiences. You can't get the Borris Powell experience by going to my website, clicking on, you know, a $20 mask and going forward. I know that is a way for many people to shop, and that's why it's there now. Thank you, Corona. That's why it's there now. But I am going to focus on my experience, and when they get in touch with me through whatever it might be, through a traveling trunk show, online, or whatever it might be, then they already are connected to the brand. They can go to the website when they need something, when they don't think about it.
Right. Now, did the television show, what was the fun show that you did? Yes, are you going
I hate to interrupt, but I'm going to have to leave about 1:25. I have
we're going to tie up. Yeah. So the TV show, are you going to be doing more things like that, or?
I had the time of my life doing that show for so many different reasons. I really did. And I was very fortunate that the executives out there and the casting directors out there loved me. And they all kept saying,
love you.
Yes, it was fantastic.
Thank you.
Great.
So I am definitely on board to do more TV stuff. And then when I say I'm on board, I'm on board. It was fun, and it excited me. And it's an avenue I didn't know that I was going to love so much. But I'm definitely looking forward to doing more of that stuff.
Okay.
You know, every time I see Tommy Davidson, I say, that's my Tommy Davidson, right?
That's a good point.
You and Tommy Davidson are brothers.
It is so funny. I was somewhere out and about, like probably 2019, and this lady came up to me and asked me if I was related to Tommy, if I would be a brother or cousin. And I was like, no. She's like, I think you are. Like, no.
Yeah. Ancestry there. So how can someone like me help designers in Chicago? So I know, hopefully, you know, I'll put your websites out there, but, you know, we can only do so much and mention it to people. What do you think? I remember we had the Mayor's Fashion Council that I was on, and I was working in the schools and helping the students. And I know, Jermikko, you mentioned that too, about mentoring and helping and assisting and all of that, which I still do to this day. What things can we do to help, you know, African-American Black fashion designers here in the city?
We need to, one, come together as a group. and as a culture or race, I should say race. And if it comes to like social media, even though I can't stand social media, but we do know how huge that is as a platform. And I think when a designer like Jermikko or myself or Swaby is posting anything,
Right.
we need to be better as a community of like liking and sharing it. No matter what it is, we need to be better about liking it and sharing it, because that's how it's going to grow and get to the masses. That's the only way. And there's times where, I mean, I need to be better about myself, but I don't care to go on social media because I see all the negative stuff and I can't handle all that jazz. So I stay away from it. I go and post and I get off. If I see, the only time that I will see someone's post, if it's the first thing when I log onto my account.
Right.
If it's the first thing, and if it's someone I know and I want to support or whatever, I'm hitting like. Sometimes I don't even read what's going on.
Right.
Because I just know that it's a friend and it's someone that I need to support and I want to support. So I'm going to click like, and then I'm going to post it. I'm getting off.
True.
But I think we need to be much better about creating a community just here in Chicago, like we had in the mayor's, with the council. Yeah, mayor's council, fashion council. We need something like that here, but it's so tough to do it as an individual or an individual group because of the money and the resources.
Right.
We have to figure out a way to get the city involved, or it won't come off.
I know they've been still trying to do that. Now I know I was working with Richard Dayhoff. Yeah, on that too. That was like last summer we were talking about that, trying to get things kicked off again. But you gave me a lot of great ideas that hopefully I'll try and get more Black designers, like even on a loop, like you said. Because I just like something that Jermikko posted about a favorite designer that she has today. And just like you said, it just popped up on Facebook and I was like, oh yeah, this looks good, and liked it. So, and that's hopefully what I can do with this talk that we're having today, is to share it. I'll put it on YouTube, I'll put it on my LinkedIn, I'll put it everywhere. And then of course, both of you can do the same thing too. And listening this, maybe not only Chicagoans, but people all over will take a look at your website. Yeah. And Jermikko, you have a website, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make sure. What is it? Why don't you mention it now? Jermikko.com. Okay. And then what is yours, Borris?
It's BorrisPowell.com. And there's 2 R's in Borris and 2 L's in Powell. So BORRISPOWELL.com.
Got it. So I'll make sure that's in the credits too. Is there anything I know? Thank you, first of all, so much. This was so enlightening for me, Jermikko, about how you even got started. I know you from your Beyonce's hoodie and all your other things that you made. So I knew you were a force to be reckoned with for sure. And then Borris, I've known you for so long from retail days. So yeah, it's such a pleasure that
I want young Black people to remember this.
Okay.
400 years ago, they brought us over here on a ship, our ancestors. They put you down in a hole with no air conditioning, no food, no whatever. So if you are alive today, it is because your ancestors made it here. Once they got here, they then had to fight. They had to know who had the foot on the neck. And when a man has his foot on your neck, that is not the time to look up and cuss him out. That is the time to learn how to say yes sir, no sir, and understand that one day he will be saying yes sir, no sir to you or your ancestors.
Right.
And today we understood that. And today they are saying yes sir and no sir to us. So when Borris says we are a strong people, we are also a powerful people. Now, all we need to do is learn to work together. There is no designer in New York working by him or herself. They have a team. And the word there is team. But we here don't seem to know how to team. You see, I feel that what God gave me, he gave it to me. And I can take that and share it with another designer. because what comes out of your head comes out of your head. Why not help you? Because when one designer falls, we all fall.
That's true.
We
True.
all fall.
That's right. That's right.
And I have never labeled myself as a Black designer. I've labeled myself as a Black person who is a designer, because that's what I do.
That's right.
Lovely.
And when I had the store on the first African American have a store on the Magnificent Mile, I would watch my people walk by. And the only time I would stop them was if they were with a little kid, because I wanted that little kid to know that I marched out here with Martin Luther King so that you could open up here, not just your neighborhood.
Mhm.
So today we need to learn, as as designers who are Black, we need to learn to step out of the mold and to embrace. We need to do that, or we're all gonna fall.
Yep.
And now it's a new level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. We need to learn to step up. We need to learn to embrace how strong and how talented we are and how gifted we are as well. It starts with embracing that. And it's like, you know what? I'm good. I'm good at what I do. And I have something that other people need, want, desire. And I'm going to give it to them because I'm just that good.
Yeah.
I'm going to echo that. And that's a good way to close, because I think you both are two of the most talented designers that I'm happy to know. So
Thank you. We're happy to know you.
it's great. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of this month. I'll be in touch. We'll have to do this again.
Thanks for having us, darling.
All right.
Bye, ladies.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Back in 3 months.
Bye-bye.